Hey guys, it's Jeff, and today I want to talk to you about all the things you need to know to use Google Ads tracking templates. Tracking your campaigns is critically important, but sometimes it gets really hard to manage things like URL tags at scale. Tracking templates will enable you to cut through all that noise and make your life a lot easier. In this video, we'll break down what they are and how to use them in your account. So without further delay, let's unbox it. So before we begin, you need to have a basic understanding of URL parameters. Google Ads has an auto-tagging feature that will enable Google Ads and Google Analytics to talk to each other and recognize your traffic. But if you're using any other type of tracking systems, whether it's other analytics tools or even internally built or managed tools, you're going to need to be comfortable using URL parameters. A URL parameter is a key value pair that appears after the question mark of a URL. And here's an example. In this example here, we have this landing page, and then you'll see the question mark, and there's a URL parameter here called UTM source. This URL parameter is being set equal to the value of Google. You might see some links like this that have multiple URL parameters all chained together and separated by an ampersand. These URL parameters help analytics tools understand where traffic is coming from and subsequently help you measure the effectiveness of those campaigns by using that data. In this example, we saw a basic use of a UTM source URL parameter, but you might use other UTM parameters like medium, campaign, or you might use a set of custom parameters that are built for other analytics systems. The big challenge when you go to execute this in your account is managing this at scale. If you have 1,000 different keyword targets, you don't want to be going in and customizing your tags and URL parameters for all of those different keyword targets. This is where tracking templates come in. And we'll break down in this next section what those are and how to use them in the Google Ads interface. So the best place to learn about tracking templates is actually just using the Google Ads documentation. We're going to pull up a few pages here to show you some examples of what templates look like, as well as something called value track parameters, which are essentially a set of pre-made variables that Google lets you use automatically in your paid search account. So let's check it out. So on this page, you'll see some basic information from Google about how to set up tracking with value track parameters. Like I said before, value track parameters are just a set of pre-configured variables you can use in your tracking template. Before we dig into that though, let's take a look at the anatomy of one of these tracking templates. In this basic example that Google is sharing here, you'll see what kind of looks funky, but basically boils down to a landing page followed by a set of URL parameters like we talked about before, with 3 specific variables being used. This first variable in the curly brackets, LP-URL, just automatically swaps out your destination URL for your ad and keyword with this variable. Then you'll see that Google in this example is using 2 different URL parameters, match type and device. These variables, match type and device, shown here within the curly brackets, will be automatically replaced with things like mobile or desktop for the device, or phrase or exact for the match type, based on your keyword targets. If you're using a template like this, all you have to do is set the destination URL for your keywords or your ads, and all of the rest of this will populate automatically. So you might be asking yourself, well, what variables can I use within these tracking templates? So you can use custom variables. Google will actually let you set up your own set of variables and then go into your campaign and ad group settings to configure those variables. I would suggest if you're just starting out though, staying away from custom variables and taking advantage of the value track parameters that Google already sets up and makes available to you as an advertiser. We can take a look here in the documentation of all the values that Google will let you take advantage of. So you'll see here a full list of the variables that Google will let you use out of the box. There are some common useful ones here, like campaign ID or ad group ID, or things like device like we saw earlier. But there are also some more interesting or nuanced variables, like network, where you can get information automatically as to whether an ad was shown on the Google search network, or something like the display network, or a smart shopping campaign. So when you actually go to deploy these tracking templates, there are a few things you need to keep in mind. So Google lets you deploy tracking templates at multiple different levels of a Google Ads account. You can set up tracking templates at an account level, you can do it at a campaign level, an ad group level, and even down at a keyword, ad, or ad extension level. So what should you be using for your campaigns? In order to figure this out, you need to understand how Google picks the tracking template for your ad. The way it works is Google will use the most specific tracking template set up in the hierarchy of your account to determine which tracking template to use. So for example, if you have a campaign level tracking template, Google will use that instead of an account level tracking template, even if you have both set up. Same thing goes for things like keywords. A keyword level tracking template will trump the ad group tracking template and the one set up for the campaign and the account. What we typically recommend is just setting up a basic tracking template at the account level and using that for the majority of your ads. There may be some cases where you need to punch in and set a more specific template up at a keyword level or an ad group level, but account level tracking templates take care of 90% of the work and they keep your maintenance very easy on the account moving forward. When you create a new campaign or a new ad group or keyword, it will automatically inherit those tracking settings from the account level template. So, by using account level tracking templates and tracking templates in general, you can see how it will make your job a lot easier to make sure you're both measuring results, but making it manageable to configure these things at scale across a large Google Ads account. So now that you know what tracking templates are and how to use them, you can see how they will make your life a lot easier for both tracking your results, but managing your URL parameters at scale across a large Google Ads account. If you're not already using this feature, make sure you check it out. Not only does it make your life easier now, but it also can prevent future mistakes by setting up a structure that enables new keywords and new campaigns to automatically get tagged with your desired URL parameters without doing any extra work. If you have any questions about tracking templates, take a little time to look at the Google Ads documentation. It may be robust, but they do a pretty good job explaining some technical details that we weren't able to get into today. And remember, always be optimizing.